Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Cheat Code Jiu-Jitsu. Jeff here again. We're gonna feed off of the last video that we did. The last video we did, of course, was the neck crank. If you missed the crucifix neck crank from Perfect Side Control, there'll be a link to it in the cards at the end, but I'm also gonna link to it at the bottom. As I said in the last video, these two submissions feed really well one off of the other. You don't have to do one to feed into the other, but if you can do both of them, you have an option for when the guy's head is forward and also an option for when the guy wants to pull his head back. This is kind of a switch Darce choke. I'm going to show this with an actual Darce choke finish, but keep in mind, go back and play through my side control playlist of all the moves I've done from side control. I've shown a lot of variants of the Darce choke position: shallow Darce, Demko Darce, Japanese necktie, German necktie, all kinds of stuff. Any of those moves are viable options from this position. All we're doing is using this to get to a somewhat unorthodox Darce choke that people don't often see coming. And once you get into the Darce position, whatever your favorite way of finishing the Darce choke is, you can hit it from that position and it's totally viable. So got my partner down here in side control, and I'm setting up just like I did last time, my perfect side control. Turn down, lift the elbow up, slide my hips in, and then turn down. And now he's dry docked in this perfect side control position. So before, in the last video, we were coming underneath and cranking his neck forward. When you do that, his natural reaction, of course, is going to be he wants his neck down, his head down as far as he can. So you start hitting that a couple times, you're gonna find that when I start coming in here, guys are gonna staple their head to the ground and it's just not coming off, which is great. So what I'm gonna do is, instead of trying to neck crank the guy, this comes out and I'm gonna wrap around his head. Now, what I wanna do here actually is I wanna wrap around and I wanna grab, if you can see it, the inside of my neck. That's where I try to grab to, and then I'm just going to sit on that. This hand steps over and around, and I'm gonna check what is now his near side hip. So my transition into Darce at this point, this is really going to depend very heavily on my right hip or my top hip, whichever one is close up by him. If I lift my hips up off of him and I leave space, this elbow is coming straight back down. And if he gets that elbow out, my Darce choke is gone. So when I go to make this transition, I've got to keep my hips really low so he doesn't have anywhere to pull that elbow out. Okay, so when I turn and I start making this turn, the hips go low and then they scrape across the guy's head. And at this point, what I want to try to do is I want to step up, and you see how my elbow and my knee are now together. That's the most important part of this, because now he has nowhere to bring that arm straight down, and he can't bring the arm back because my body's in the way. Now at this point, once I've got the connection made here, I'm going to back step, and then this arm starts coming down. I can reach under if he's got his head way back, and I can pull up and I can grab, just like I did in my Darce chokes for short guys video. If you can put the connection here without it, that's okay too. Or if you want to go to one of the variations like the Demko Darce or something like that, that's fine. But when you step back here, this should be really tight. And my elbow and my knee are still together. But I'm coming out at this 90-degree angle to him, putting my Darce choke on, and I get this thing locked up. Once I'm here, it's the same finish that I showed before for a Darce choke. Up on your feet, drive forward, and twist to get the Darce choke finish. Any of the other variations work as well, but that's my favorite way to finish the actual Darce choke. So, switch Darce. Starts here in perfect side control. I get in here, he's stapling that head down to the ground, no problem. Swivel over top, swivel under. Grab my leg, check the hip, head comes to the side, scrape my hips across him, drive the elbow and the knee together, lock up the Darce choke. Once I've got the Darce, you'll notice I'm out here, like I said, at this 90-degree angle. I don't want to be setting this up from out here, there's no pressure. Lock it up in place, up on my feet, drive forward and twist, and I'll get a nice, really tight Darce choke. There's a whole lot of different things that you can do from there in terms of the different Darce variations that I've shown, different ways to finish that. Sometimes guys turn up the turtle. I can throw my vice grip back in place, crank the guy back down. But there's a whole lot of options that are available from there. It's a really good position, and a lot of people don't see it coming because usually the way they see the Darce being set up is the way that I've set up my variations in the previous videos, where he turns into me, he catches the underhook, and then I've got to do something to deal with that underhook from my overhook and set it up from there. This is a nice one where he starts turning away from him, and usually guys realize they're falling into a Darce choke about the time you get your hands together, and by then it's frequently too late. So play with that. It's a nice fun variation. I really like it a lot. Make sure to hit the like button if you like the videos, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you'll get notifications every time I upload something new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks a lot.